Well, this is not the way I wanted to start the month of June, but it is what it is. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. It is Monday, June the 2nd, and as you can see, we had a difficult red day today, down about $3,000 across the funded accounts. It's definitely not the greatest of days. A bit of a kind of a frustrating day. I don't want to use a lot of emotion in trading, but excuse me, hang on a minute. Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. Hopefully that's better. Anyway, don't like to trade with a lot of emotion, but obviously just frustrating that today, the way that the day went, it just didn't work. And I took a couple of bad trades, had my stops in the wrong places. Yeah, let's just dive in. The day really starts on gold. The game plan I had for gold this morning was if we broke above this high from May the 25th, that I would take that long if I got a good break and retest above that, the 33.94s. And I did catch that this morning. We had a bit of a break and retest. I was a little bit late to the party on the first entry. And I added into this trade a couple of times and ultimately got stopped out on that first one. I actually went to pull the stop down because I really felt we were going to test this and go. And when I grabbed the stop is when it got hit. It just had one of these little blip wicks, took me out. So unfortunately, I had a $150 loss in the first trade. Little winner, but add in here, I think that ended up with a net loss of like $70. Let's just go to TradeZella and we'll just walk through the trades. That might make the most sense. Today, 29.23, 33% win rate. Really had a pretty poor average win to loss. 27, $28 on the average winner, 136 on the average loser. So not very good. And again, not the way I want to start the month at all, but here we are. Let's look at the trades like we just talked about. So the first one here, this one, break and retest of 31.304. Whoops, I'm sorry. This is, I got to back up a minute. This is the trade on the Nasdaq. This was the first trade of the day right here. I was looking at my gold setup and I noticed this pullback on the Nasdaq on this other chart and had this little wick, these wicks holding, and part of my game plan was if we got a break and retest long above the 31.304s, I would take that. I did jump in, and right before the news, and it got stopped out. It was the right call. It was the right direction. We just had this little liquidity grab, and then we went. So unfortunately, the mistake on that one was taking the trade too quickly right before news. That was my mistake. If you look at the entry looks good here. We had a hold of VWAP, we had a hold of that level, clean hold. We were pushing up, took that entry, but we just rejected. So that's one I can live with. It was an errant trade because it was right before the news, but so be it. Now let's go to the gold trade. That was trade number 2. Which would have been right here. This is the gold trade. And you can see here, I ended up with that first one with a $76 loss, added in a couple of times. Again, the call was correct. I just unfortunately had a stop out on that first contract. If that doesn't happen, this ends up with a fairly nice little winning trade. Potentially anyway, and probably changes the course of the day. But in any case, that was the way that first trade went. So moving to the next one, let's go to here. The second trade was also a trade on gold. This one here, here you can see the first entries, and then we had this second wick right down to this level, the 33.94s. And as soon as I saw that, we saw this hold coming in, I jumped in long again and just out with a first contract hit and then break even stop, and we were done with that trade. So moves on to trade number 4 or 3. Which would have been right here. We had a Nasdaq long. This is one I'm not too happy with. Took this trade because of the Friday high of day break and retest of the and the higher lows. Definitely not an A+ setup, and I paid for it. I was down quite a bit, and I kind of didn't care. This was part of my trade plan. I'm a little bit embarrassed by this trade, but We had broken above these high of days from Friday, this purple line, and we were holding it a little bit. Very, very risky. Took the trade long and completely got stopped out. Not a very good trade at all. That is this one right here. As you can see, this started to, after this trade, I drew these little boxes, and we kind of had this stair step going on. We have this consolidation, creating a higher low, and then we create another higher low, which set up my, well, let's just continue on down the TradeZilla path here. Second to the last trade was this one here, which was a winning trade. I think this is the last gold trade I took. Yeah, another break and retest off entry off the 33.93. Gold is just going nowhere today, and that's exactly the point. One target, stopped out, break even. See, this was the first trade over here, and we added in a few contracts. This was the second trade, this wick. When this wicked a third time, and each one of these was higher, we had slightly higher lows. That's what prompted me to enter. And again, just one target and then stopped out, break even. Gold did eventually move, but let's just go to gold for a minute here. Gold did eventually kind of go, but no big move. And honestly, I am really thinking about just removing gold from my charts because it trades differently than ESNQ and the Dow Jones. And I don't know, I just haven't had that many really good trades. Today, definitely a losing day altogether on gold. Not a big losing day, but just again, it wasted a lot of my time. And I think had I spent more time looking at some of the other charts, I may have found some better trades and not had the day that I had. So for what it's worth, that's where that's at. Now let's go to the last one of the day, which was also on the Dow, and this one here, not on the Dow, on the Nasdaq. This one was unfortunate. Just again, kind of not caring a little. I mean, I wanted to get a winning trade, but I was also at a point where I'm either going to get it or we're going to be a $400 loss day and I'm out. Break and retest of Friday's high of day and long because of the stair step higher. I just talked about those stair steps. I should have waited. The long off Friday's high of day was the correct move. My stop loss was at the better entry. So it looked good here, but we ended up pulling back to my stop loss, stopping me out, and then the move really happened. So a bit of impatience on my behalf there. Let's go back to here. So there you can see that entry. Again, stair step, stair step, stair step. Right idea. Everything was correct about it except where my entry was, or the other thing to say about that is that entry could have been okay had I taken smaller size. I was in with 3 contracts on the Nasdaq with that entry. I probably should have had 2 contracts, and that would have dropped my stop loss down here below, you know, somewhere here. Well, I got stopped out right at these wicks here, and then the move really happened. So now, here's the other part of the story. The unfortunate part is we had a red day on these funded accounts. And as I told you last week, I am taking you guys along on my evals journey. And so I was copy trading those and I was down the same amount, 480, which is bad. You can see I am still in a live trade and we have recouped all of that 480 plus another 200 to 300 at the present time. And we are nice and green across the board. So I took the trades that I wanted to, part of my trade plan here in the afternoon, and obviously capitalized. These trades right here is where I got this money back on my evals. Part of my trade plan on the Nasdaq this morning was if we get a break and retest above the Friday's high of day, I would take that long. We clearly and cleanly got it right here. This really was the break and retest. Again, this last trade, my stop loss was really more around the entry. I took that entry long with my eval accounts. I got a little bit of profit on that first one. I re-entered the trade, entered twice, and rode this thing all the way back up here. Got stopped out on the last contract on this little pullback. And then I flipped to ES, which is where we're still at, I believe. Yes, and we're getting towards end of day. It's about 10 till 4, so this market's getting a little volatile. But I took this entry here, added into the position, and so I was in with I think 8 contracts at one time, obviously just micros, and just kind of set several targets along the way up, and we'll see if I get those or not. But obviously, just disappointing that again I go back to gold, and I really feel like had I not messed with this, and I just haven't had that much success if I look at the big picture, but had I not messed with that, I probably would have waited and gotten the correct moves here around a later part of the day. I really feel like I probably would have. That little wick stop out this morning was a bit frustrating, and I don't know, I just feel like that set the day up for failure, if you will, on the funded account. So we'll see where this trade goes. Hopefully, I mean, in any case, we've had a good day on the evals. Again, I'm not in a big hurry to pass these. They're, started off on at least on the positive foot, and have most of our drawdown intact. So the big win there is, getting them back from being down almost 500 across all the accounts. So it is what it is, and hopefully we can keep moving. I really have to pay more attention to some of those trade setups, and I didn't execute things very well today, and I paid the price, so that's unfortunate. So that's where we're at. I think I will leave you with that for today, and we'll try to be back at it tomorrow. I am going to take Wednesday off, so I'm not going to be trading Wednesday. There will be no trade plan Wednesday or a recap. So I plan to trade tomorrow, and hopefully I will have a positive update. So also just a note, if you pay attention to the rotating banners here, you'll see it pop up here, but there is a sale going on with Apex. It's a 71% off sale, which is not horrible. But if you need accounts, it's way better than the 50% off. It's like $48 on a 50K, for example. The big thing though is that the PA fees are $100. So I don't know for sure if these evals, if I pass them, if the PA fee will be 100 or if it's just on evals bought during this sale. I don't know that, but in either case, $100 eval or PA fee is nice. Lastly, also remember that the Apex or the Take Profit Trader discount is still going on, that 30% off and no activation fees. And again, code BCT gets you that best deal with Apex and Take Profit Trader. And thank you for those of you that use my code. It does help me out a little bit. I don't make a lot of money on evals by any stretch of the imagination. It is a little bit, but it does help me out, and I appreciate your support. So again, thanks for following along. Hope you guys had a good trading day, and we'll try to be back at it tomorrow. One last thought I just wanted to share. One of the things that I've been really pondering myself is just the fact that I've had, if you go back, I'm going to pull up TradeZella. If I go back to last month, one of the things I've really started, I'm just pondering this and noticed it about myself and about where I'm at with trading and where I need to go going forward is I have too many of these bigger red days, 3,600, 2,400, 1,100, 1,400, $1,000. And if you look at that, oftentimes we've got let's look at the green days. So the best green day last month was 1,300. Second best was 940. So let's call that $1,000. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red days that were at that level or better. So one of the things I have to work on is to reduce the amount of red, and obviously I say that very tongue-in-cheek because today we obviously had a very, very red day here, but so the point I'm making is I want to be a little bit more aggressive when I'm having a good solid green day and try to push those green days a little bit higher, and also do my very best to avoid having such a bad red day as we started off today. So that's just one of the things that I want to focus on for the month of June. Thought that was worth sharing. And so anyway, all right, I will sign off, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. So again, thanks for following along, and we'll catch up with you next time. Take care, and so long.